Hi everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Reaching Your Plant-Based Potential with myself, Coach Kayla, online dietitian, nutrition, and run coach of plant-based nutrition and run coaching. So I'm so excited for another episode for today. So today we're going to be talking about planning your meals. So this is the second tip I wanted to give on plant-based, or sorry, the National Nutrition Month. So for National Nutrition Month, I wanted to focus this month these lives on Wednesdays around National Nutrition Month, since that is in March. And last week, we talked about how to personalize your plate as a plant-based athlete. Today, I want to talk about planning our meals, as somebody that's plant-based, or maybe as somebody that is, highly active. We're going to, talk about what that looks like and how you do that. So I see some people hopping on. Awesome. Hello. Hi, Anika. Thanks for joining. If you are joining me live, please let me know. Say hi. I want to know you're here. Also, if you're watching this on replay, just comment below replay as well, so I know you checked out this video as well. Also, before we get started, I want to thank Virtual Vegfest for having me do this, and as well as, in the with Plant-Based Network as well. And also want to thank their sponsors, Living with Harmony and Hodo Foods. Also, make sure to like Virtual Vegfest on Facebook, and also subscribe to their YouTube so you don't miss any of the videos and content that they have on their page as well. And you can also enter a monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com. So with all that said, let's talk about planning our meals, and then I will leave some time as well for you guys to answer any nutrition questions or running, since I'm also a run coach and have that background as well. If anyone has any questions with that as well, feel free to just comment below, and I'll answer your questions at the end here. So planning our meals. So number one is looking for recipes. When you sit down and you're trying to figure out what your meals are, you're probably like, okay, well, I got to find recipes. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. There's lots of apps you can use. There are online, Pinterest is great. Also, there's some really great online food blogs. I personally really like Cookie with Kate, as well as Minimalist Baker. There's some really great plant-based recipes, plus a lot of them are gluten-free as well, which I know a lot of people are as well. So those have some really great recipes as well. Also, when you're planning meals, another good tip to remember is choosing recipes that also have foods that are in season. So, it's easier to get, also it saves you money as well, but it's also easier to find produce that's in season, buying it locally at your market, your farmer's market. So you do want to take that into consideration when you're planning these meals. Another tip as well, especially I give this a lot, talking to my athletes that I have as well, is keeping it simple. So, sometimes it can get really annoying, can get really frustrating, or, difficult to do, or complicated to plan meals if you have a family as well as an athlete, and maybe you have a full-time job and you're really busy, right? All of these things, it can be really hard. So, really just keeping it simple as possible is also a really good tip. Another thing as well is you can get plant-based meal plans. I personally don't do that. I do more one-on-one kind of coaching. I also just announced a group coaching program that I am offering. So I do more of that rather than just give people meal plans. But I do guide you. I do have, templates, and kind of help you with that process of what that should look like, and how to help you with that meal planning process. But there are meal plans out there And I definitely, if anyone's interested in, just purchasing a plant-based meal plan, definitely let me know. I can steer you in the right direction. I know some amazing people that do that and do a really good job with that. And especially taking into consideration somebody too that has a family. And maybe you don't eat, maybe, you have kids and maybe they're not really sure about this whole plant-based food. So, that can be definitely a challenge as well. So as I said, keeping it simple, one of the best meals that I can tell you that I probably talk about a lot with my clients is power bowls because it's so easy. So all you really need is a grain, a vegetable, and what else do I have? And a plant protein. So it's really just 3 of those things. You put it all in a bowl. You can, prep it, a lot of it on the weekends. You just warm it up. You can make it your own too. So as I said, keep meals simple, keep these things simple, but also just planning is so important. And that's going to really help you, especially if you're new to this way of eating and this lifestyle. That planning part is so important to make sure to take that time to plan. And it can look a little bit different to everybody. I know people that, like to plan 2 weeks ahead of time. So they do all that. I do my planning like usually every week. I do plan meals. I do as well have, as I said, I use templates with clients that I give. So I have templates. I also have a meal planning guide. So if that's helpful for anyone, definitely reach out to me and let me know if you're interested in that meal planning guide. That can be really helpful. And that could be helpful for anyone. So I mostly work with athletes and runners, but that meal planning guide is really just a plant-based meal planning guide that could be really helpful for anybody that's plant-based. And then another thing is when you're planning your meals, especially, and this I wanted to talk about specifically for those that are very active and maybe you're an athlete, is using the performance plant-based plates. And this is something I've actually came up with because I couldn't really find that plate that was plant-based, but also for the athlete. So I came up with 3 different plates. And I think the last time I came live here, I talked about the basic plant-based plate. Now these ones, there's different ones based on your training. So when you're meal planning, those are things also to take into consideration, especially for the athletes. So with that, I think I gave you guys a lot of information right there. So I don't want to give you guys too much here. Let me know if you guys have any questions at all. It can be about anything that I just talked about, or any nutrition related questions you have to plant-based eating or the lifestyle. Feel free to also, just comment below and ask if you have any questions at all. That's what I am here for. Let me know. So I see Anika's on. Hi, Anika. Glad you could join me. Anika has been a part of my plant-based performance community for quite a while now. She's a superstar. So I love seeing her show up on all my lives. I just thank you so much for supporting me. It's definitely a good thing to have people that support you for sure. Any questions? No one has any questions. Okay, well, I just summarized that because I did give you guys a lot. So one, I said look for recipes. You can find recipes online, Pinterest, right? I gave you guys some of my favorites. Making sure when you're planning, considering using fresh produce. I also mentioned, keeping it really simple. And then for that athlete, using those plant-based performance plates. Yay, I have questions. Okay, I'm going to actually put the questions up here. How do you feel about fasting and endurance training, doing both at the same time? Great question. This is a really good question. So I do support both, but I would say I don't really support doing both. And this is why. Because when you're fasting and also doing endurance training, you can do not only, you could do some damage to your body, but mostly you're going to suffer in performance. So really you have to ask yourself, what is your goal? Like, what is most important to you? I actually had this conversation with a client the other day, and she's somebody that, is very concerned about her weight and weighs herself a lot. Um, and that's a concern, right? But she's also training for a marathon. And she's like, well, actually, my husband told me that, really put this into really good perspective. What is more important to you? Does it matter to you to gain a couple pounds, or is doing well in your marathon better? And she's like, well, I just care about doing well in my marathon. It doesn't matter, if that scale goes up, as long as I do well in my marathon. So if it's for weight loss, then just think about that. Like, what's most important to you? What is most important to you right now? And there can be some harmful effects of doing that in fasting and endurance training. So I don't recommend it really for my clients to do that. And what is the furthest you have run? 26.2 miles. Which is a marathon, is the farthest I have run. I do have a goal to run a 50K, because that would, I believe that's considered an ultra marathon. So I would be kind of getting into I could tell people that I'm an ultra marathon once I get to 50K, which is 30 miles. So not too much more than 26.2 miles. But just running on my own and race, I haven't gone further right now, more than 26.2 miles. Any other questions? These are great questions. Yeah, and I love running, so I can definitely talk anything about running. We can always talk about as well. But of course, it's, March is National Nutrition Month, and wanted to make sure that we talked about these things as well, and focused on that theme for National Nutrition Month of how to personalize their plate as somebody that's plant-based, as also possibly as somebody that's, active or an athlete. Awesome. Any other questions? We have a couple minutes. We have some more time here. Any other questions that anyone have? Anika said, actually more than 26.2 if you count the warm up and cool down. That's true. I don't know if I usually do a warm up and cool down, honestly, when I run a marathon. But like a 5K, I always run like 2 miles before the race and then 2 miles after. I don't know if I actually ever ran a warm up and cool down, but you're right. If you do, it is more. Not in the actual race, but miles wise, it would be more. Very true. Yes, and all the training. Yes, there's definitely a lot of training for sure. And definitely for like right now, I'm in marathon training. I haven't gotten up to those high miles yet, but usually I just get up to, maybe, 20, 22, 23, 24 miles maybe. We don't usually ever go to that. I don't usually actually ever run the 26 miles before actually marathon. And most people don't, unless they're training for an ultra, then probably they're running more than that. Another great question. Whole wheat or white flour, which is better? Yeah, so I'll explain the differences here first. So whole wheat flour is not processed. It also has nutrient content. It has more fiber in it. White flour is processed, and so it goes through a processing process. So it's not, really not organic, right? Because it goes through that processing, or whole foods, and it's got also less fiber. So really anything, especially when you're talking more about the grain. So I've done a lesson before on grains. I wish I had actually a picture of the grain, because it's easier to explain, because I'm like using my hands and you're probably like, don't know what I'm doing. But I'm like picturing in my head the grain. So the grain kernel has 3 parts. And what happens is in that processing to make anything, like any grain that they make white, so white flour, white rice, white bread, all of that, what they do is they take out actually the most nutrition part of that grain kernel, and they leave the one part of the grain kernel, which is just basically the white part, which is our carbohydrate. So we're pretty much taking out all the fiber, all the nutrients that grain has. We're pretty much taking them out. So my recommendation, or I would say to that question, which is better in general, whole wheat's better, right? Because it's more nutrient dense, it's less processed, it has more nutrients in it. But that said, it doesn't mean that white flour is bad. So when when we're talking about athletic performance, since I also work with a lot of athletes, sometimes eating the white rice and the white bread is better, like when you eat it during a training run, or right before, because there's less fiber and your body is able to use those, and you want those carbohydrates, you want that energy because your body's going to use it up. But in general, we don't really need all of that, right? And what happens is our body's storing those carbohydrates because they don't really need them, because we're not moving. So yeah, hopefully that answered that question, but great question. Yes, and 22 miles in training is enough to get you through a 26-mile marathon. It is. It's not the best. It's better to get to at least 24, 25, but as I said, you don't quite get to, usually in training plans are, if you work with a coach, you won't quite get to the 26 miles. Hi, Patricia. Good evening. Welcome. Glad you can make it. And she said, yes, whole wheat makes sense. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Great questions, everyone. Awesome. Any other questions does anyone have for me tonight? Really great questions. Thank you guys so much for being here, being a part of this, being a part of and supporting Virtual Vegfest, as well as, joining for our lives here that we just started, which is so exciting. And if anyone has any suggestions about topics or specific things you want me to talk about, I'm always open to that as well. We're just planning on doing these every Wednesday. So if anyone has any, further topics as well for April, don't hesitate to reach out as well. So with that said, I will let you guys go for your enjoy the rest of your evening. But again, thank you so much for being a part of being here and being a part here of Virtual Vegfest Live. And of course, as well, make sure to subscribe to their YouTube, check out their website as well, virtualvegfest.com, enter those monthly contests, the monthly contests that they have. And if there's any questions that you guys have as well, don't hesitate to reach out to me as well. All right, bye.